And we have a gun, so I guess the next step is probably to visit Rose. This is also pretty horrifying. So this whole episode is going to end on a whole lot of terrible things happening.
Hello, Mr. Sleepyhead. Have you come to help us?
I don't know whether who I was before the Great Wave entitles me to make any kind of moral judgments. But what I do know is that the Hunter and his men are a real cancer on this new world, which is the only thing that really counts right now. The girl has a right to defend herself, that bastard said. So someone should give her the chance to do that. It's only fair, right? I can't get you out of here, Rose. I'm sorry. You're the only one that can do it.
Thank you.
As she was picking up the revolver, she gave me a look of determination that I didn't know she had in her. Rose acted so quickly that I barely saw what happened through the crack in the door of her van. Her hand was steady, even when the second man begged for his life, sobbing and groveling on the floor. The bullet went right through his heart. Blood splattered all over her white dress. And then she let the revolver drop and sat down, lost in her own world. And she didn't do or say anything else, holed up in her tiny, delirious inner landscape. There she had everything she could ever need, safe at last from the new world, which she will probably never return to.
Wow. It just keeps going. Alright, so 2 terrible scum people are dead now. Oh, they even set that up by explicitly saying the revolver had 2 bullets in it.
I'm not going to pick up that revolver. What for? Rose fired the only 2 bullets left in the chamber.
Oh yeah, great. No, what could possibly be useful in the post-apocalypse? Like a gun. Oh no, it doesn't have bullets, so well, we better write it off forever. We'll never find more bullets in the entire world. This guy has terrible survival skills for the point of adventure games logic. Oh, god damn it. Rose. That's rough. So she's just snapped then, huh? So she's completely gone. So instead of truly... I freed her, but not really. In that she has escaped her van, but then slumped down right outside, and now she's apparently freed from her own body, because she's just not... That narration indicates that she's never coming back.
It's Rose, sitting perfectly still and staring off into space. I'm afraid she's gone, and she's not coming back. There's no point in bothering her. Fortunately for her, Rose isn't here anymore.
And that's that, huh? Well, now what do we do? There's a generator. That's my best chance, right? Just try to steal the generator while we can?
No. The water turned the generator into an enormous hunk of scrap metal. Why would I want to take it with me in this condition?
You can't possibly fix it? Ever?
What the hell? Another one of those repeating images. Of those damn time loops.
No. Rose. No, don't do it. No!
It's Rose, killing her captors again. But there's something in this one that makes it different. It feels more real and more intense than the other times.
So that's what's happening. We got a loop. Oh, this is finally establishing the idea of being able to affect change from the time travel. Because I've been saying that's probably the conclusion here. I need to cover it with, body bag.
No, don't do it. No!
This is exactly it. I've been talking about the setup of, like, there must be some ability to change stuff in the past or future if they're going to keep having us time travel like this. So this is it. This is the beginning of the mechanic of how we're going to not die. It still got fried.
Damn it. I wasn't able to save it. I can only cover half the generator with this.
So I need another item then. A map's just made of water. Poster's made of water. Okay, so we need to go find something else that works like a body bag to cover a generator so that it doesn't get fried by Rose killing everybody. So not only did... So she has had a hell of a hard life. Oh, this is happening again. Whoops. So her mind is totally broken at this point. And she's been raped and tortured and lost her life.
No, don't do it.
And now I'm using her as a puzzle mechanic. Oh, that's a big one. Okay, photography backdrop.
No. I'd only rip it if I tried to pull it down without first taking out the screws.
Okay, then, how do I take out screws with these devices? How do I take out screws? Can a crowbar help at all with that?
I wouldn't waste too much time on this. Pounding on the screws holding the fabric won't do anything to loosen them.
So I need something to undo screws. Honestly, I would have tried my tooth if I still had it. That might have fit in. I need to find something. Oh, they had coins. There we go. We're going full Walking Dead on this. I don't know if anything else ever used that example in their other game either. That's just the first time I encountered the idea of, oh look, there's screws. I know. I found some quarters. We'll undo the screws and jam Clementine in a vent. That should work then. So it's worked in multiple games at this point, I think.
Let's see. The coins fit perfectly in the heads of the screws. It'll be no trouble loosening them and taking the fabric with me.
There we go. That's it. That should be all I need.
It's the backdrop I use for the photography jobs I did at home. It looks waterproof.
And it's waterproof. Okay. So that's that. Warp on back out. There we go. It's always iffy trying to remember which part of the screen arbitrarily is the way that transitions out of the screen. So when you're on, especially when you're on the interior locations. So I've got two objects I could potentially drape over that object now. And they did say it only covered half of it last time. So here we go. Now we just wait for tragedy to strike, and then we quickly apply items to that generator, I guess. Because I think it has to be during the cycle, right? There it goes. Alright, act fast. Photography.
No. Rose.
That also only covered half of it, so it has to be both. Where is it? There it is. The black bag. I kind of wonder if that would actually work.
Okay. First I'll unplug the cables that connected to the trailer.
That's that. Part of me worries that that wouldn't be able to work just because all the water, while being stopped by the tarp, would still land on the floor that the generator is on. That seems like it'd be a problem. Let's see. I take the generator and that should be that, right? Okay. Should I visit Hunter for a moment and chew him out? If that's an option for what happened back there? I'm covered in so much blood now.
Hey, dude. Back already? Nice to see you again around here. Your timing is perfect. So tell me, how did things go with the kid?
Ruthless bastard. You called the cleanup brigades.
Hey, calm down, Mike. Tone it down, okay? Of course I called the cleanup brigades. What did you expect? I was curious about your interest in the boy, so I did a little investigating on my own. My informants poked around Rod's trailer a little, and they discovered some things. Enough to find out how great a risk that kid and his disease represented to camp safety. These are hard times, and we have to take care of each other, dude. It's our common responsibility. Besides, you already know what I think of those disease carriers, and the fools who protect them, Mike.
We agreed that we'd do things my way. We agreed that no one would get hurt.
No, dude. You're confused. I promised you I would do only what was strictly necessary to let you talk to the kid alone. And that's what I did. I made sure the soldiers gave you as much time as you needed to do whatever it was you had to do with that boy. Frankly, Mike, I don't understand why you're complaining.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Is that it?
Of course, Mike. You gotta do what you gotta do. And that's something you already know better than anyone. But now, sit down and have a drink with me. We got things to celebrate. Thanks to the photo you brought us, the plan to get our hands on that fuel at the medical center has been finalized. That depot holds more gasoline than we could ever have imagined in our wildest dreams. We're going over there in a few hours. Hey, Michael, today is turning out to be a great day, don't you think? One of the best I can remember.
No, I'm not gonna drink a toast with you because I don't have anything to celebrate. You're a despicable animal.
Hey, watch what you're saying, dude.
A pathetic, ignorant bastard. Garbage from the old world you were so happy to see swept away.
Watch out, Mike. I warned you not to disrespect me in my bar, in front of my men. Don't keep tempting fate.
Are you really offended? You're a vile insect with no morals. So God and the devil were good to you, you say? Open your eyes and look around, you paranoid worm, because you're nothing but a violent, drunken, demented psychopath, just like your father.
Turn off that music. Turn off that music right now! Listen, Michael, there's already been too much commotion in the refugee camp, and more trouble is not in my interest. That's the only thing stopping me from tearing you limb from limb right here and now, and stashing your remains in one of those drums out there. But another word, and you're a dead man. Got it? One more word out of you, and I swear that tomorrow morning they'll find your stinking corpse so tangled up in the barbed wire that they'll have to chop you up to get you out of there. And I don't care where you hide or how far you run, because you know I'll find you in the end. Now get out of my sight. Get out of my sight!
Well, I was talking about playing with fire and about not getting what we wanted and about how we're empowering dangerous people and so on and so forth and how reckless we're being. Yeah, we set this guy up so he's totally going to be totally set for his entire operation. What's that? Were those boots there before? I can't really look at them directly anyway. But yeah, we set up his entire oil business, and what do we get in return? We got a couple of AA batteries, and the people we were trying to help got turned in. That's our grand outcome of our behavior. Are they even alive in there?
Poor Colin. His fate was sealed long before I woke up. Where could Rod and his wife be? Truth is, I'd rather not know the answer.
Yeah, we don't know if they killed themselves, or if what happened, or if they got hauled away. That's the dark part, is that, as far as Colin's fate goes, being turned in wasn't the biggest deal ever, because he did happen to die right in that moment, so my behavior didn't affect what happened with Colin, ultimately, because he was going to die on that deathbed regardless, but it may have affected the path of where his parents go from here on out. Only time will tell. But hey, I got the generator, dude. Something worked.
I brought the generator you need, Chris.
Great, Michael. I knew you could do it. Give me a few minutes to set up the computer and open the report.
While Chris was getting everything ready, I decided to sit down in one of the armchairs in the office. I was exhausted. My mind had been trying to make sense of the last few hours of my life for what seemed like an eternity. The first hours following my bitter birth in this new world. But how could I judge the new world if I could barely remember the old one? The only thing I was sure of was that we had lost something very valuable along the way. The photograph of our life, overnight, had turned into a dark, blurry, sepia-tinted image. All of civilization had drowned under the great wave, and the only thing left on the beach were its remains. But no, I was fooling myself. I was already lost before the catastrophe. To tell the truth, all the other victims of the Great Wave have been luckier than me. They still dreamed of returning to their lives. Mine had already been broken a long time ago. Did I really stand a chance of recovering something I'd already lost forever? What type of strength, what type of miracle could ever give me that second chance?
Michael, wake up!
What's happening?
The report, Michael. It's the report. I was going over it while you were sleeping. It's incredible. It's way beyond our expectations. You're gonna think I've gone crazy, but I don't even know where to start.
How about at the beginning?
Okay. It's the dead synchronicity point. The entire universe is changing, and we're going to witness it. We're going to be witnesses. And victims.
Witnesses? Victims? But what the hell are you talking about? What is this dead synchronicity point?
It's hard to explain. You're a photographer, so I'll try this analogy. Imagine a person's life chronicled in photographs. Up to now, and according to the rules that governed our universe, we were all subject to certain very specific temporal rules. Past, present, and future. That's all there was to it. So, the first thing we'd find would be a photo of the person as a newborn, then another on the person's 6th birthday, then another in college, and so on. Then we'd see photos of the person's wedding, children, old age, death. All in logical, linear, chronological order. Since our universe is conceived along a single line that starts in the past, makes a stopover in the present, and then projects into the future. Do you follow me?
Yes, of course I follow you.
Well, imagine now that this entire temporal architecture crumbles, falls apart, dissolves. Imagine that something or someone has altered the foundations of our universe, changing the rules of the game, forever annihilating our idea of time, the concepts of past, present, and future.
I think you just lost me, Chris.
Then let me continue with the metaphor of the photographs. Imagine now that a card dealer takes all these snapshots that sum up the life of this person, shuffles them, and places them in a stack in one spot on the card table. What would we have then? There would no longer be a chronological line, Michael. There would be no past, present, or future. Each of the individual events captured in these photographs, they would all be happening simultaneously, at the exact same point in time. And that point we would call...
the dead synchronicity point!
Exactly. Now our world is abandoning its old physical laws and getting closer to that dead synchronicity point where time no longer exists. And therefore, all the phenomena and events that happened or will happen in the universe will start to be stacked on top of other ones, like the photographs in the dealer's deck.
That sounds crazy. How credible do you think this report is?
Completely, Michael. The dead synchronicity point is a fact. And the worst thing is that we're approaching it faster and faster. It'll only be a matter of days, at best maybe a few weeks, before the universe enters this new state. Time is ending, in every sense.
And what does all this have to do with us?
Come on, do you still not see it? This change in the architecture of the universe, this nullification of time, is the real origin of the Great Wave, the dissolved, and the emergence of the new world.
There we go. That's the time jumps. By the way, just as a side note, it turns out that Hunter was right. We have to choose between being lions and sheep, or lambs, or whatever they said, and he said he saw me as a predator, and every single time I tried to deal with him through diplomacy and trade, I got stiffed. But the one time I did something dangerous and ridiculous and insane, I gave a gun to a sex slave and watched as she murdered both of those people. That got me the most powerful item of the entire game so far. That got me the generator. Was setting things in motion to kill two people. That wasn't batteries. That wasn't a few moments in a room. It's an electric generator in a time where electricity doesn't exist anymore as an infrastructure. That's a big difference. So I believe we're setting up the concept now that in the future time travel will happen. And it's already been happening, but it's going to be more and more of a thing because we're going full Dr. Manhattan on here where all of time exists simultaneously. I fully expect that to mean that we just set up the idea with that previous puzzle that now time travel is going to be a regular part of puzzles. I just sincerely hope that we get manual control over that time travel, because if I have to stand in a room and wait for it to switch back and forth over and over again and deal with that inconvenience for an entire chunk of game, that might be a little rough. Hopefully we'll get some Max Caulfield, Life is Strange, like, press this button to go forward and back in time thing. I hope.
So, the Great Wave was caused by this approach to the dead synchronicity point?
Yes, Michael. The Great Wave was the first manifestation of our universe's approach to the dead synchronicity point. That's why the catastrophe struck at the same time all over the planet. It wasn't just a local occurrence. It had global dimensions. It was the first clear and obvious sign that something was going wrong. And it brought chaos and misery to the world, as you've been seeing yourself since you woke up.
And what the hell do the Dissolved have to do with all this?
According to the report, the Dissolved are still a big mystery. There isn't much information about them or their disease. What we do know is that they are people who are especially sensitive to the dead synchronicity point, and that is what's so tragic about them.
Especially sensitive?
Of course. This transformation, this radical and overwhelming change in the basic structure of the universe, is totally incompatible with human life. We're condemned to die, Michael. Each and every one of us.
That's terrible. How can you be so sure of that?
If you think about it rationally, it's obvious. Our bodies are the product of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, of a gradual and precarious adaptation to the environment, the universe, and its physical laws. Reaching the dead synchronicity point, the annihilation of time, we'd need another 100,000 years to adapt to such a drastic change. And what do you think will happen to the human race, to each and every one of us when this process concludes? I'll tell you. Our primary metabolism will go into a state of shock. Our entire cell structure will be jolted so profoundly and so violently that what we now call our bodies will lose all coherence, leaving behind just a brown puddle as evidence of our existence.
We'll dissolve, like those poor sick people.
Indeed. According to the report, the Dissolved are simply pioneers, people who are ahead of their time. The vanguard of the human race in its final extinction. That's why some cases started cropping up so early, even before the Great Wave. Their illness was the harbinger of the enormous explosion that was to follow. It preceded it by hours, even days. And that's why the cases are multiplying exponentially as we get closer to the end. Do you understand? We'll all end up turning into Dissolved.
That's a mess. But there's one thing we know that nobody else knows, as far as I can tell, which is that I have contact with the Dissolved still. They're still alive somewhere, or they're still conscious somewhere.
I don't understand your explanation about what this damn dead synchronicity point is at all.
Up to now, and according to the rules that governed our universe, we were all subject to certain very
Whoopsie.
specific temporal rules.
I'm sorry. That was my bad. Did not. I just defaulted to hitting the top option for a moment just out of habit, and that repeats the entire cutscene.
The last time we spoke, you told me that there could be a solution. A way to reverse all this madness.
Yes, and that's the best part of the report. Theoretically, Michael, and paradoxical as it may sound, our progress toward the dead synchronicity point also brings the opportunity to change things, to turn the process around and return to where we were before our world collapsed.
And how would that be possible?
By penetrating the very center of the anomaly, the deepest nucleus of dead synchronicity, and arriving at the point where time is just starting to fold back into itself before the process is completed. If Inside the dead synchronicity point, each and every one of the events that have happened or will happen in the universe unfold, then surely it must be possible to gain access to the moment when something or someone triggered the catastrophe and stop it.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. You're talking about time travel.
Yes, I'm talking about the possibility of accessing the past to save our present and our future, of turning the Great Wave and all its consequences into a mere nightmare that never actually happened. The report talks about the hypothetical existence of a door leading into the very heart of the dead synchronicity point, a door to each and every one of the snapshots of the past, present, and future of our universe. And if, through that door, we had a chance to access the precise instant when everything went haywire, then we might be able to change things. Michael, that's what we've got to focus on in whatever time we have left. But I have to continue studying this report. I'm sure there are more answers in it, and you have got to help me.
You're telling me that the dead synchronicity point is the origin of all this chaos? That our only chance of salvation is a theoretical journey to the past? Or sooner or later we'll all be obliterated? Like those poor dissolved?
That's right, Michael. So we'd better get to work on it as soon as possible. By the way, the report also mentions another very interesting thing about the dissolved.
What is it?
It seems that in their trances, through their trips to the underground highways, the sick form a strange relationship with each other. It's as if the disease unites them, regardless of any physical distance that might separate them. The report is very unclear on this point, but it seems as if the dissolved are somehow linked, connected.
My God. That can't be.
Remember. Please, remember.
Everything fits now. Everything makes sense.
Please. Enough! My head!
Emily asked me to tell you that we're connected, Michael. We're connected.
Michael, what's going on?
Chris, get one of those tests ready. Fast.
But what for? You don't think that you're also...
Do as I say.
Okay. Give me your hand. It's positive. Michael, you're sick. You're dissolved.
No. That can't be. No. No!
Michael. Michael. Wake up.
Emily? Emily, is that you?
Please, Michael, wake up. Wake up.
Is that really you? Where am I?
Yes, Michael. It's me. You are on the underground highways.
And that's the end, huh? They did say from the outset that this was going to be part 1 of a series. Don't know how many parts it's going to be, and it's not going to be coming particularly fast, I don't think. This is not an episodic series. These are a series of standalone adventure games that are supposed to have, and it's supposed to just be a series of games that continue the story. But there's no King's Quest or Telltale promises of regular releases as part of some sort of episodic structure. This is very much Half-Life 2 episodes 1, 2, and 3, where we'll see if and when things come out. Sure hope they manage to keep their head above water as a developer so we can see where this goes, because this has been a cool little story. And some people get caught up, surprised. Some people misinterpret a little bit that sometimes I predict what's going to happen in games. but that's not always because the story is bad necessarily or anything, or the game, like, predictability itself is not necessarily bad. In many cases, it just means the story is structured well and actually sets up things that are going to happen later. And if you learn to read the setup, you can often figure out where things are going, but you can still appreciate the story that's happening, because shock value is not necessarily the only thing that a story can serve to do. I watched all of Fight Club already knowing the twist because people wouldn't shut up about it, and I still enjoyed Fight Club quite a bit, and that kind of thing warrants and so on. It's fine. But yeah, that's the end of Dead Synchronicity. Tomorrow comes today. The game that was presumptive enough to actually have a subtitle in its first entry, based on how much it's assumed that there's going to be more of them. So hopefully we get to see where that goes. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and maybe consider checking out some of my other adventure game playthroughs. I think I've mentioned a few times that for the post-apocalyptic adventure games, I've already played Shard Light and The Uncertain. Shard Light's a standalone adventure game with a nice beginning and ending and everything. Lots of similarities to this game, almost weird amounts of similarities. And also there's The Uncertain, but that's incomplete because it's a episodic game that's going to have multiple episodes. I don't remember if they said 3 or 5 or what, but somewhere there's information out there that gives you clear information on how many there's going to be. And as a little side note, it's always kind of quaint that when an adventure game decides to have a massive, sprawling, epic story about the end of the world, no, the end of the universe. Because, of course, adventure games' basic mechanics involve being all like, if I jerry-rig this red paper clip into this Hooja watch, it'll make the thing not stutter as much or whatever the hell. Like, it's always like, you're like cobbling together these little MacGyver contraptions to solve minor problems. So it's always funny when those games have massive repercussions. Shard Light was like that too. It was basically about like the fate of an entire city. And you're, of course, being an adventure game character, picking up scraps of metal and stuff like that and seeing where you can jam them. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching like always, and I'll see you next time.
Would you watch this new civilization we've struggled to build be undone by a group of upstarts?
No, but they don't really seem like much of a threat, just a group of idealists.
Yes, and the last time a group of idealists formed, they attempted to destroy the Ministry of Knowledge. Danton's group is an ever-growing threat, and they must be controlled and subdued as quickly as possible. Return to them. Tell them you wish to aid them. If they request you perform some task for them, do so to gain their trust. Of course, use your judgment wisely. If you break any laws, I can only offer you so much protection.
I added some changes into my docking station to skip updates. Apparently, I am different from most robots now.
We discovered it during the diagnostic testing after the EMP detonation. This is the reason you are here. The date of your latest update suggests that your personal data hasn't been changed. We have to make a decision, RT. We cannot let you go because you know too much about our shelter and plans. However, you could help us.